to another episode of Just Two Girls Who Work Together. I'm Terica.
And I'm Keisha.
And we're back with our Music Mondays guest co-host, Rashad. What's that?
Hey.
Alrighty, so by the title, you've probably already seen what we're talking about today, but before we get there, we want to talk about some current topics, and we're going to talk about the week-long-awaited recent single drop by Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion.
Okay, accent.
Yes. Come on.
What?
The whoop. Now, if you want to, right. Now, if you don't know what WAP stands for, we're going to ask that you go look that up because we won't be telling you what it is.
Wet and gushy.
Right.
Don't look it up.
That's the clean version.
Right. Right. So we're going to talk about that. That's the most current thing that has happened in our week. And so let's get into it. Starting with, I guess we should start with the controversy around this song. So it drops, the video drops and the single drops same time.
Yeah.
Which I love because I hate when they be dropping these singles and then you have to wait like 2 weeks for a video. I feel like in today's time, it's just, that's not the move anymore. Like, it's like you need to drop the content with the song. Like, it just, I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So it drops 12 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter goes crazy. I think some of the big call outs that I saw that first night was like, of course, everybody was talking about the Kylie Jenner appearance. Of course, they were talking about the video, just like, well, okay, woo. All right, girls. Dip it low.
Yeah, because that intro with the fountains, I was like, oh, so this is what it's going to be.
Right. I thought it was kind of cool.
I loved it too, but I was like, okay, I can't wait to see what's next.
Right. I was like, okay. Yeah, I said the same thing when I saw the little fountain going around. I was like,
right.
And then the water started coming from under the door. I was like, all right. I was like, where we going?
So we'll talk about this shortly, but like you guys are mentioning, and like don't forget this, but we're mentioning like the fountains and how animated that was, and then the water coming down. We'll talk about that. So hold on to that for right now.
All right.
We're gonna come back to it, but let's talk about, okay, we got the controversy. You have Kylie, you have the video itself where they are very like dipping it low. Rashad, what do we say all the time? Dipping it low and spreading it wide. Is it?
Laying it low and spreading it wide.
Stop it.
Because baby.
Y'all sound like Miss E off the back.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Because that's the only place I didn't heard that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's funny.
Oh, when you said that, I just think about that episode. She's like, Tamar, I will knock the piss out of you.
The way she's talking, like I thought one of them was gonna get beat.
Right.
Say it again. Say it. But yeah, so you got the lyrics, of course, that are very, if you listen to even the non-edited version, I mean, you get what they're saying. So it's very graphic and detailed. And so you had a lot of controversy. You had different women feeling as if like, wow, this is way too much. It's over-sexualized. What about the kids? You all are supposed to be role models. Then you had a certain group of guys that were kind of like, you know, they some hoes and they promoting this. And, you know, it's just a lot of controversy around this song, which is interesting when over the last, I know, 20 to 30 years, this has been a constant thing, whether male or female.
That part.
Yeah.
I was in middle school, my neck, my back.
Right. Right. And even before that, like, I mean, it's just like everybody's done it. Like rappers, singers, in multiple genres. Like they all like, I don't understand. Yep. I'm so confused with everybody's
male,
like,
female, like everybody's done it.
Yeah.
I think maybe some of it is from, I guess, because maybe what's going on in the world and what's going on in America right now. Maybe some people kind of looking at it, why are they coming out with something like that when we're trying to fight for this and blah blah. Like I can see that in a sense, but at the same time, it's like it's their artistry, it's their, you know, that's how they want to express or whatever, and it's entertainment. It's entertainment during this time at the end of the day. So
right. Yeah. My thing is the people that are saying that they're supposed to be role models and what kind of message they're giving to the kids. First of all, yo kids should not be looking up to Cardi B as a role model. If you're a good parent, you're gonna parent your child and they're gonna know what's right and what's wrong. So you shouldn't be so hung up on celebrities and what they do, because that's their business, that's their life. And if you really care that much about it, put some damn parent controls on your TV.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you actually have to parent. Like, you can't.
Right. Like, you can't just put it off on celebrities and be like, well, my kid watches y'all. Well, if you don't want them to think that way or look at that, then you have the power as a parent to not show them that.
And the reality is that kids, I'm sorry, yes, I saw a lot in movies and I saw a lot in videos, but the things that I heard from my friends or that I heard in adult conversations were always worse than what I saw on TV or, you know what I'm saying? So like, unfortunately, especially now, you're not in a place where you can guard them from everything. You're going to, but to your point, Keisha, it is their responsibility. It's your responsibility to parent your child and to tell them like what is reality, what is not for you right now. You need to grow into this. Like, that is your job. So absolutely right, and +1 to all of that.
And growing up for me, my mom always she always like sat me down and was like, this is entertainment, this is real life and stuff. Like, you know, growing up with her watching movies, shows, music and all that stuff. So she didn't never really have a problem with me because I understood. I'm like, I might be listening to this, but I know like, oh, this isn't real, or this is their story, or I'm not taking it to heart. Like, I'm just listening to it, you know, or watching this. But like today, you have so much, kids have so much access at their fingertips, just to so much stuff. So it's like, you really, like I said, I just think you just have to parent and talk and be like Terica said, like, this is not for you, or this is what this is adult, like, explain it. But
yeah. Another issue I saw was somebody literally verbatim said, Cardi B turned all our women into sluts. And I was like, okay, just because because a woman is expressing herself and it's sexual, that does not make her a slut.
It doesn't. Right. And so I said that verse because I was like, baby, listen, I heard the hardcore album by Kim. I used to be scared. And that I turned out fine. I got two degrees. I'm all right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's been like, I feel like there's been worse stuff than that song.
Right.
Or whatever. Like in mainstream. Like, I'm really confused.
I think, to be honest, I think the ultimate issue is Black women are dominating rap right now, and men can't handle it. They can't take it.
I think it might be a little bit of that, but I also think to Rashad's point, and I saw that come up as well, is it the right time to have released something like that? Like, with everything going on and what our focus should be, should that be people's focus right now? Like, releasing that type of, like, could you be using your artistry in a different way right now to make change? And I feel like at the same time, I've seen Cardi be very vocal about the political battle that we're in right now. I've seen that Meg is doing various campaigns, so they've done that. But you can't stop them from making other music. You know, they have to get that out of them as well. So I think that's unfair for people to feel like they shouldn't be talking about anything else right now. Now, the deep part of me wants to say, yeah, you do have to evaluate, like, is this fight that we're in more important than this right now? Like, I think you do have to think about all of that, but you can't stop people from getting that artistry out.
Right. And it's all about balance, because like, Black people, we've been going through shit forever. And sometimes you just want some entertainment. Sometimes you just want to get away from all the madness and have some fun, have a good time. So you need to have, you know, both.
So that's what I was going to bring up too, like the balance, and just kind of like, that poses a good question of like, right now, like, I mean, I think do we not deserve entertainment during these times as well? Like, do we not deserve something to take our mind, or escapism or whatever, which is a big part of entertainment, is escapism or whatever. So yeah.
And I think too, Keisha, coming back to your point about it being a female-dominated industry right now, I think you do have some people that feel some kind of way about it because it is saturated with females, but I do believe they have more people rooting for them than they do people against them, and that comes from men and women, just because it's been such a long time since you've had so many at once. You know, out there out there in the mainstream. Now, is it oversaturated with one sound right now? Absolutely. And that can be a little bit frustrating. We do have, you do have your Rhapsodies. And even, I will say this, I will stand 10 toes on this. Even with Meg is very, like, the girl can rap. She can rap her butt off. Now, her topics are very much the same, but the girl actually got talent, and I would love to see her rap about some other things, because I think she has talent. Like, she could probably stand toe-to-toe with a lot of female MCs, and that I'm just going to stand on that.
Yeah, I think she's talented, too. I just think, like you said, I think it's a little oversaturated with that type of, like, sound and subject matter. Like, I'm all for it, but like, can we have a balance or whatever? But we know, like, all the marketing promotional dollars is going to that right now, where when we was growing up, we had that and the conscious and the middle of the road, like, whatever you want to call it. Like, we had everything growing up. It wasn't kind of just one, like, it wasn't just pushed into one corner. But I mean, my only issue with WAP is I just felt like the song was okay. Like, I really wish that it would have been a lot better than it is. Not to say that they did a bad job. I just think it's all right. And I feel like for it to be those two, I feel like they didn't cultivate a moment. And I feel like that's been happening a lot with a lot of these, the recent women collaboration artists. I'm trying to stop saying female because apparently that's wrong now. I don't know, but
it's dehumanizing. But that's another conversation. Continue.
It's another conversation. So a lot of women artists and and a lot of women artists, and I just feel like they're not really they're not cultivating like moments like a Bang Bang or a Lady Marmalade or a Ladies Night. Like, I feel like they just kind of been slapping people together. Like, yeah, this makes sense. Let's just let's put something out with them too, rather than being like, let's really create a moment with these two or whatever, or these three or four or whatever.
I kind of felt that way. Like, I'll take it back to when Trina and Nicki got together and they did Bounce. Like, I thought that it was, because I'm thinking about Trina and I'm thinking about the old school, like where she comes from, and then I'm thinking about Nicki, newer school, and then the sample that they used. Like, I felt like, because we never got a video for that song, and that was for various reasons. I know there was some background stuff that happened on Trina's end, but I just felt like that song could have been much bigger. And then you go from that to the song with Nicki and Megan, and it was like, okay, it's a song. They finally collab. You got the current queen and you got this, hot new sensation coming together making this song. And then when this song came out, this being Cardi's first song in 9 months, her coming back, I did, and then hearing the sample, I did expect something a lot bigger. Lyrically, I did, and I wanted Cardi's cadence and flow to be a little bit different, because we know that she can, like, her cadence and flow is very similar in every song. So I was expecting something a little bit different.
Yeah. I was thinking about Ladies Night whenever I saw that, because I was thinking about all the women that are in the industry right now, and I feel like it would be amazing for us to have a whole bunch of them on one track. Because on Ladies Night, you had a little bit of everything and all the different styles. You had the sexy rapper, you had the laid back chill rapper. Like, that would be epic if they can do one for like the 2000s, like bring it back.
Brooklyn, it's Ladies Night. Hey, got Angie on the mic. Hey, Angie Martinez.
Missy Elliott, that was my part, because she's so smooth with it.
I will say,
I feel like we just had a missed opportunity with this song.
Right.
I feel like it was a big missed opportunity.
So missed opportunity, or could be a good setup for the remix.
Right.
So this is what we talked about the other day. Now, they could do a remix. If we had the opportunity to be like, okay, y'all need to do a remix, what would you all like to see? Because I know what I would want.
Like, I think if we had a remix, one, it don't need to be the same beat. Like, it don't need to be just more people on the same beat. I want a true remix. Like, I want to,
amen.
Like, give us another hot beat or whatever you want to call it, production, and throw everybody on there. I don't know, just like, and it can. I still say the same content, like subject matter or whatever, but like Keisha, like you were saying, like how I had like on Ladies Night, you had all the different styles. Like it'll be interesting to see all the different styles talking about this one like this one subject matter or whatever.
Yeah.
So
right.
I want to see I would love, of course I want we'll talk about this when we talk about the remake, or if we could have done the video, and this could even be the video for the remix, but I would have loved, of course, you want some older rappers in there. You want your forefathers or forewomen, foremothers in the on the remix. But it would be nice to see, like, I would love to see them take a mulatto and then maybe add a Rhapsody, or add, like take these various different women and let them talk about it from their perspective.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let them talk about what WAP means to them in their perspective, and you have a remix. I mean, Rhapsody, of course, might not be as raunchy as Mulatto might be, but it's still this camaraderie of women. And I'm still going to say I would be interested to have Nikki on this. I think she would have, first of all, she would have killed the original beat, but I would absolutely love to hear her on the remix. Like I think it's vital right now that they pull, that's the move that they pull.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to see light skin Keisha, because I love light skin Keisha, and my little like X factor would be No Name. I love No Name.
That would be interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not on brand with her. I don't think she would do that, but it would be nice.
I don't bring Rhapsody either. I mean, not to talk in that fashion, but I think if they positioned it in a way where we're talking about female empowerment, I could hear Rhapsody coming on there talking about the power of your WAP.
Yeah.
Your WAP.
So you know what
I'm saying? Like, I think that if they position this as a female kind of empowerment and a moment and a movement, I think it can be done. So
I do too. And I would love to see, like, I don't have any particulars of who I would like to see, but I would like to see some of the more kind of indie underground ones, and then the mainstream hot ones, and then some of the older legends or whatever. Like, if they all just, it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy.
That
and
would be
a missed opportunity. I'm just like, come on, guys. But yeah.
Let's we talked about the remix. We gotta talk about the video. So the video itself, okay, you got these beautiful shots. We definitely know this homage to the 90s. The first thing I thought about opening scene when that water, I think about Busta Rhymes, Janet Jackson, like how the animation. Right, the animation in water. That's the first. And then my mind went to Missy. And let me go back here.
It's very Missy.
For
it's very Missy.
For the people on Twitter who sit up here and act like we ain't been hearing this, Missy has been every record you hear is probably talking about all of it. Right. She knows how to do it in a way that you just dancing and you like, did she just say what I think?
Right.
Yep.
Oh well. So you get what I'm saying? But yeah, going back to the video, very Missy, Buster, even a little bit of Ludacris, just what not is out.
Oh yeah.
Comedian. You see all of the animation in there. So definitely a big homage to the 90s, also with the hairstyles, the various scenes, and of course the beat, DJ Frank Ski. So you got all of that. Let's talk about
I love the video, not for the like obvious surface reasons or whatever that most guys are like in the video, but like the obvious reasons, right? The eye candy, and all that's great. But I'm looking at it from more of an artistic standpoint, and I thought the creative direction was really, really, really good for this video. Like, I was surprised or whatever, and all the setups and the different vignettes and the scenes and all that, I just thought were really nice. My favorite part is the purple and green scene when they're dancing on the different stuff. I think that's just awesome looking part of the video. But
yeah, for me, like, I like that part. For some reason, I thought of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory on that part.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know why. I haven't seen that movie forever.
CJ on the same page. He was like, "You see that new Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion? They did like a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory thing." I was like,
that's what it looked like. I don't know why it made me think of that, but I feel like it's basically a copy of Beyonce's Haunted video. She did it, but it was like more of a like horror type feel. It was kind of weird. But like she had the mansion with the houses, and in every room it was like something different. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I've seen this before, so
yeah. So
they just put their twist on it.
If we could redo this video or set up for the remix, let's talk about that. I think for me, I'll go right to the biggest thing, the Kylie Jenner moment.
That's what I was gonna bring up.
I think it could have been Lisa Ray. I think it could have been Queen Mother.
Right.
They could have even called Inga, aka Foxy Brown, if they wanted to. Pam Grier.
Pam Grier would have been a good one.
Yeah. I think when you think about like just sexy and just like mysterious, all of those women,
iconic.
Iconic. Yeah. Those women, because it's like, because even you said, Keisha, you mentioned Beyonce's video, but my mind went to Tamar's video where Nene was like the house madam in her video, If I Don't Have You. So like, even if that was the thing they were going for, they needed somebody that was like, that was the image that when you think of them, you think of this person. But then also, I get why they put Kylie in there. I mean, her fan base, it was smart. They got the younger fans. I get it. But just think of how iconic it would have been.
Yeah.
So
I think with the video, like the Kylie Jenner thing is for sure the one thing I would change. Like I get, like Tarek said, I get it. Like while she's in there, the views and the popularity, it was supposed to be like a surprise and like, oh wow moment. You know, they cut out the music and she's walking in slow motion down the hall and all that jazz. But like, this could have really, like, again, another missed opportunity. Like this could have been a real moment. Like had like one of those people Terica mentioned like popped up in slow motion walking down the hall, like it would have been nuts. Like I think they would have got the reaction that they wanted. Like the reaction that they were thinking about, the reaction that they thought they were going to get from the Kylie Jenner is the one they would have got had they used somebody else. The Kylie Jenner situation, I think it's just very polarizing for a lot of people. So like it messes up the video for people, and then a lot of people, it takes them out of the video because they're like, oh, like why is she in here? But they definitely should have went with like a legend or whatever, whether that was an actress or a rapper or a singer or whatever. And I think also the cameos, like I like the Normani and the Rosalia cameo because they're kind of like the newer girls, but I felt like the Sukihana and who was the other girl?
Mulata.
Oh, that was Mulata. Okay, well Mulata's cool, but I feel like Sukihana, nothing against her. I just feel like they should have kept that with like artists, like upcoming or established people. Like I don't know, I feel like that one was kind of like it didn't fit to me, but
we didn't say we wanted real hoes in the house. We said
that's messed up. I think it's cool that they featured her, but I'm just like, yo, like I don't know, some of the cameos just could have been a little, just it would have hit more. I don't know. Well, we're talking about what we would have done, but I mean, Tarek and I kind of joked that like, hey, like if it was Lil' Kim or whatever, and like the music cut out,
it should have been a whole, like the setup should have been them in this, you know. I don't know why I want to keep saying dominatrix house or like madam house or whatever. She could have been the madam, and then all of these old school, whether it's Kim, Trina, Foxy, hell, they got a room paying homage to Betty Wright if they want to, but like, but like this whole thing ushering in this new wave of artists, and I think they just would have been a perfect set up for this like women empowerment, we're all together, we're passing the torch type of situation. I think that would have been perfect.
Like just imagine if the music cut out and the part where Kylie's supposed to happen, the camera's going down the hallway just on the floor, and then it lifts up slowly and you see Little Kim in that iconic pose from the album cover.
Yeah, from the first
her back is turned, and then she turned around slowly. Moment. But yeah,
they could have capitalized on that. So
right.
I mean, there's opportunity. Like that's the great thing about the song. It's only been out a week and a half now. People are still just watching the video. There's an opportunity for them to do this or to do a remix. And maybe that's there. If you're watching this, ladies,
right, hit us up.
Right. I feel like there's a missed opportunity for product too, because they were doing vinyls and cassettes. They should have been doing condoms and lube.
That is a really good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're talking about. Because Division, they're single Between Us. They have condoms and candles. They have this little pack or whatever, and it makes sense. It goes with the song, and people bought it. So if you ain't got that WAP, well, you can have it with WAP.
WAP.
That's perfect.
Yes, hit us up. Anybody on the team that's looking at this, like we got y'all. You know,
right.
We'll take you to the next level. So really quickly before we transition into today's topic, I think we mentioned at the beginning that this was DJ Frank Ski's. Originally, this is his song. A lot of people were confused and thought it was like, some people thought it was Lil Jon and East Side Boys. Some people thought it was like Uncle Luke. But let's give homage or honor where it's due. It's Frank Ski, who also did Doodoo Brown as well. So these were like huge, I would call like when I think of these songs, I think of like Freaknik, I think of Atlanta 90s, I think about, dance fans.
Yeah.
I think of that, girl. So this
school dances.
Right. But yeah, I think people don't like down south. Those are iconic songs.
Yeah.
Even for HBCU grads, like people that I know that are from up north that come down here, they be like, them was like, that's the time I remember. Like I remember these songs being played, from the 90s. So yeah, absolutely great sample. Overall, think there's still opportunity. They could go back, they could do the video, the remix, and create something very iconic for women empowerment. And as far as the controversy, I think at the end of the day, people are gonna feel how they feel. They could have not done the video and it would have been a problem. They could have, it still would have been a problem. Moving right along to today's topic. So we had the genius idea to try our hand at what we know to be an impossible task. But each of us have come up with our 5 favorite albums, okay? These are not our 5 like all-time albums. These are just 5 that like out of the many albums that we could be like, okay, these 5, we really appreciate them and here's the reason why. Okay, so we'll talk about what the album is, maybe its contribution to its genre or to the industry, and just some facts about the album, like why you like it. So that's where we'll go. And we have some honorable mentions too, I'm sure.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Erica, Keisha.
Erica?
You're the guest, Rashad, go.
It's y'all show. Y'all should, start kicking off.
1, 2, 3, not it.
Right, now what you got?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Right. Y'all
Best 2 out of 3.
Okay.
Wait, how does this work with 3 people?
I don't know.
I didn't even think about that.
Well,
I guess, I don't know. I think
okay,
Keisha.
how about everybody go, like, if I start with number 1.
Yeah, and then 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. Like
yeah.
Or whatever.
Let's do it.
I don't know how it is on y'all's screen, but yeah.
Okay, who's got the first? Keisha. Okay, y'all 2 got to go first because the first one ain't got
I'll go first.
Okay, we can switch it up.
Yeah. So, okay, I did my top 5 based on, they're basically the top 5 in my life. And number 1 is Confessions, because that's like one of the top albums that I can listen to front to back. I ain't gotta hit skip. It's amazing. It's Usher. And I feel like that was Usher at his prime. That's just my opinion. And he kind of like plateaued and then dipped after Confessions. So Yeah, that's my first one.
So we can do this. If you have a song, if this album is anywhere in your top 5, you can go ahead and mention it or talk about it. Does that work?
Yeah, that works.
So like Confessions is in my top 5. So for me, absolutely, Keisha, I think Usher was in his bag on this one, and Rashad says this a lot. I'm gonna steal the term, but the stars aligned for this album. Absolutely. I mean, really. You talk about, first of all, we did not see this coming. We did not see that album coming at all, because after 8701, he was like at this sweet spot, and he was, the teen sensation transitioning into this man. You didn't know what he was going to do, and now going back and listening to watching various docs or reading articles, they talk about how, like, if you think about it, Usher you didn't know him. Remember the very first album, that was a lot of writing from Puff. That second album, that was JD. You didn't know him. You didn't know his story. He didn't really have any controversy at that time as well. And so, sorry, I'm saying 8701, but Confessions just made sense at this point in his life. Like, we needed something different from him, not just what we had already gotten. And so, Confessions was a huge album. You think about all of the people that contributed to that album, and where they are now, from your Rico Loves to your Sean Garrett's, to even Robin Thicke, to Faith Evans, to, I know I'm forgetting people, my guy from City High, Ryan, you got, who am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting a list of people.
Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, you got Jermaine Dupri, don't forget him.
Who else? I feel like we're forgetting some people, and we apologize.
Everybody.
Yeah, you said Robin Thicke, right?
Just Blaze, right?
Yeah, we forgive us now if we forget you. We charge.
What about Just Blaze?
Huh?
Just Blaze.
Just Blaze. Yeah, forgot about Just. Yeah. Dre and Vidal. We forgot about them.
Oh yeah, Dre and Vidal. Oh, and Sean Garrett.
Yep. I said.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you said Sean Garrett?
And Rich Harrison.
Rich Harrison. That's right.
I mean, the stars aligned for this album. For me, it is an album that you can listen to from the very beginning to the end, no skips. Now, is it the most fluid album as far as like going from song to song? Probably not. I thought that they were going a certain direction when I first heard I thought, I was like, okay, this is gonna be this story about him.
Yep. It feels like the first. Oh, real quick, Confessions is one of my all-time favorites. I didn't put it on my list because I knew one of y'all was probably gonna have it, but but it is one of my favorite albums. And from top to bottom, and I agree with Terica. At first, it feels like there's a story when it starts with and it goes into. I'm thinking, and then it kind of it loses. Story-wise, it kind of loses you a little bit, but all the songs are still great after it kind of cuts off that story. But there's a way to frame that album as a story. It's just not sequenced like it needs to be as a story.
Exactly.
Because
all the songs there fit a story, but it's not sequenced right. Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, like you said, to your point, I'm thinking he's gonna come in, he's talking about, he meeting this girl, he ends up messing with her, then throwback, okay, I'm losing my girl and I want her back, and then it goes to Confessions, like, girl, I gotta tell you something type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because the girl in is the one they cheated with on the girl in Confessions. Yeah.
Then Bird comes, like, we gotta let it go, we can't stay together, then Caught Up, like, to me, Caught Up should have came before somewhere, like, before all those records. Yeah. Then this is when you start getting to like Superstar, Bad Girl, it's like, okay, it's out of order.
It's out of order for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what we should?
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, you know what we should do one day is sequence that album ourselves and kind of do it like to make sense. Like we should listen to it on our own time, but like listen to it in that order and see if that even I think that'd be
just giving you all a sneak peek.
So that's our homework.
Yeah. And coming in the next few weeks, we are going to deep dive into the career of Usher. We will deep dive into that synopsis. So hope you join us in a few weeks when we do that on our Music Mondays. Okay, so Keisha, if you had to pick one song on the album, what would it be? And we're probably going to be repeating this information, y'all. So just for this particular album.
Be ready.
Okay, so my favorite song. God, this is hard. Oh God. I say Superstar.
Oh God, leave.
Because as soon as you said that was the first song that came up. When he hits that note at the beginning, oh my soul.
First of all, let's talk about
the writing.
The writing. And think about it. Remember, Luther has a superstar as well. And you think of that, your mind goes there.
Similar.
Yeah. The themes around it.
Yeah.
Right.
I can listen to both of them and be like, okay, they both great contenders for that superstar.
Yeah.
You know, our part is when Faith comes in on the bridge part with those backgrounds. And a lot of people don't know this. Faith has been doing backgrounds actually for Usher since the very first album. And so this has been a long time coming for her, but like the raspiness, like the jazz.
Yeah, like that. Like you can hear on that bridge, especially is when you hear her the most, and it sounds so good. So good. Yeah.
Sing, Faith. So you got, so you're going with Can You Handle It is mine.
That's a good one too.
That's Robin Thicke, right?
Yeah. Paula on the hook.
Yeah, Miss Patton.
Just a well-written song.
Yeah.
And it was smart because if Robin had kept that for himself, would have been great. Would have been a good song. But the delivery of Usher. You felt that. You felt the words that he was saying, and it was almost like it was like an intimate moment. He delivered the song so well.
I think like Robin Thicke with that song, it's definitely a Robin Thicke song because like when you listen to it, you can hear Robin, like you can hear him singing it. Like it's like this sounds like his song, but like Terica said, delivery is everything, which is like so underrated these days. Like vocal delivery is everything to a song, like how it's interpreted or whatever. But yeah.
And I think we did leave one person off, James. We're not gonna do James like that little brother James Lackey. We're not gonna leave him off, but yeah, iconic, great album. All right.
Wait, my song. I didn't pick one. I don't know. I love all of them, but I'm trying to think.
Album full of bangers.
It's hard for me to pick a song off of that one, so I'm just gonna go the whole album.
Okay. And actually, you know what's so crazy? When they did the reloaded version, Seduction, written by Rico Love, is one of my joints too, though.
I like Seduction.
Yeah. The reloaded version was good. Like the songs they added were still like really good. Like
they were.
Seduction, and there was one more.
And I'm so sorry. I'm wrong. I'm looking at my notes. Wrong. Seduction isn't Rico Love. That's Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis. Sorry. I always get that one.
Guys.
Yeah. I always get that confused.
FYI, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis are in my top 3 favorite producer songwriters of all time.
Yeah, they're legendary.
They're amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll have to get into them another time because I mean, again, when we go back to 8701, we'll talk about this in his episode. But 8701, some of his biggest songs on the album were them. But we're gonna save that because we'll get into a whole Usher tangent.
Right. We can talk about him all day.
They don't mean to. All right. So moving on. So am I naming my number one, or Rashad, you going?
Let's see. For number one, not number one as in like first place, but just like.
Yeah, mine isn't in no order either. I was just like, that's the first one I wrote down.
Okay.
And like, I just want to say how I picked these because it was hard for me to pick a top 5, but like I kind of just did. They're all like conceptual kind of albums, and I kind of just did it that way. But anyways, so I'm going to go. Of course, you know I gotta have my guy and my girl on my list, but I'm going to go with my girl first. Miss Janet Jackson. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Dun, 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 dun. So so I'm picking
this guy.
So I'm picking The Velvet Rope.
Yes.
One of my favorite albums, and one of my favorite. That's probably don't know if I don't know if that's my favorite Janet, but it is one of my favorite albums. It might be my favorite Janet, but I picked this because looking at my notes. So I picked this because it's like, one, I do think it's her magnum opus or whatever. I do feel like that. I feel like it's probably her best album, but anyways, I really like the concept of the album. Like, its title is like a metaphor for emotional boundaries, as well as an allusion.
I know that.
Yeah, as well as an allusion to an individual's need to feel special. So like when you think about the Velvet Rope, like when you're at a party or an event or just industry, red Velvet Rope is always blocking people off from entering, and it's blocking those people that's inside from letting out. So basically the Velvet Rope was supposed to kind of be, the concept of it was like her removing that velvet rope and you getting to see her innermost thoughts, deep feelings, all that stuff. But then also her like being very introspective and taking that velvet rope off for herself and digging into to all her personal stuff from the past or whatever. So anyways, it's just the sound is dark. It's very dark, which is really cool. And the album is such a precursor to so many trends that we're still seeing now or whatever. And all the genre bending, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were the main guys behind this, and with Janet as well as a writer and producer. And sorry, I just went off on a tangent. It's lyrics. They address a lot of subject matter that wasn't known to be addressed by a lot of Black artists, and especially during that time, such as depression, self-worth, social networking, which also predicted a lot of what we see today with social networks. Like at that time, it was very, very, very brand new, like with messaging, IMing, and all that kind of stuff. But like, she has stuff on there that talks about like, you thinking you're in a relationship, or you think you know somebody over the internet or whatever, but you're actually just empty. Like, I don't know, it's really interesting. Like, all of it's really deep, and it's very forward. And she also talks about like domestic violence, and she talks about like homophobia and things like that. And she also talks about a lot of themes of sexuality, BDSM, and things like that, which was, like I said, wasn't talked about heavily in pop music, but especially from a Black artist. So yeah, those are some of my reasons, briefly. But that's something, that album is like a really deep dive kind of talk. But yeah.
Ooh. So what's your favorite song?
My favorite song, I would have to say, probably my favorite song on that album would probably be What About? And I say that because of one, the production or whatever is crazy. It's like it's rock and it's like R&B and it's some other stuff in there, but like it's about domestic violence, but the way her vocal delivery on it like tells the story so well, and the music and her vocals start soft, which is like her like talking to the man and all this kind of stuff, but then it rages into this rock hard edge thing where her vocals going raspy, which is talking about like the abuse and stuff like that. So it has this great juxtaposition of like hard and soft that matches the emotions of what she's talking about. So yeah, that was a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, that one and Get So Lonely. I mean,
that's mine.
That's a contender. That's right under there.
That video, I love that video.
That album, even just going back and watching the concert for that album, I mean, it was almost as if like, without even, like if I didn't see the concert, listening to the records, I saw that concert. It makes sense. Like it made you were able to visualize what she was trying to do with that particular concert and with that album. Really good album.
I think like that era is one of my favorite eras from her, as far as like the look and the concerts, because everything matched the album. Like she, like the red hair and the face piercings and the tattoos and the outfits and what they were doing, even with all the dancers and everything. Like it all matched and it all felt like it was a full experience. So yeah, definitely like a great moment, I think, in music. So
yeah, awesome. So I kind of sort of named one of my albums already with Keisha. I did Confessions. So I guess I'll go to my next one. For me, it would be I Gotta Tap the Little Church Girl in the Inside of Me. And the Church Woman. I gotta tap it. But my next album would be Hero by Kirk Franklin. What?
I love that album.
I need to add one more thing I forgot to say. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Let me just add this. This album is regarded as a template for a lot of pop artists that, a lot of artists generally that try to transition from when they hit the scene and they're big and they're doing all these songs and then they want to grow up and become a little bit more rebellious and darker, and it's definitely a precursor to the development of alternative R&B. But like you can see like almost every artist like out today, or let me not say out today, not the new ones, but a lot of people that kind of came after Janet or whatever, they all have an album that's like The Velvet Rope. They all have that, this is my like introspective, this is my darker, this is my rebel, like they all have that, and it's very much the blueprint of the album. So sorry, I just want to say that.
Fine. You're not.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's what
Go
we're
ahead.
My album, as I stated, would be Kirk Franklin's 2005 release, Hero. The reason, first of all, this album actually, I believe, only peaked to number 13 on the Billboard. However, Imagine Me won a Grammy for him. Probably one of, when you think of him, when people be like, what is like his song that just, you heard it everywhere that year. You heard it at every church function, every youth day function, you heard Imagine Me. Also, the lead single on here, Looking For You, was on the movie Norbit. It was like the release for that soundtrack. And for me, that album, we all know that Kirk Franklin is so good at like telling these stories in a way in which young people can relate to it. And I felt like 2005, I was 16 years old. I was trying to find my identity as a young woman and growing up and kind of transitioning. And this album really spoke to me at that time. The subject topics on there, or the subject matters on there. He also, we got J Moss on that album. We got Ty Tribbett doing they were coming out at their prime at that time. He also has a song on here with Dre and Fidel. So, Kirk Franklin is not a stranger of tapping on the shoulder of those in the R&B and hip hop world. Right. He does not have a problem with doing that. He also uses a lot of samples. As we know, he's famous for doing that as well. He has Keep Your Head to the Sky with Earth, Wind, and Fire. He also, I love that he also has a song with Toby Mac on here. So he is not afraid on most of his albums, but really this one to like tap some other people on the shoulder and be like, hey, let's merge these sounds. For me, as a young person during this time, if you hadn't heard any other gospel or Christian album during that time, this was the album to listen to. So it is definitely going to be on my tops for him as an artist, but then top albums that I had to listen to during that time. And I can still just ride from the front to the end for this album.
I'm gonna take a listen. I've never heard the album fully. I only know the singles, but yeah.
What's your favorite song on the album?
Jesus. I'm gonna go with Sunshine.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was
that the single?
No, it wasn't a single. No, it was.
Okay.
It's like actually the second to the last. It might be the last song on the album. But yeah, I just, for me, Kirk is just an amazing writer. And then you add that to background vocalist that he has. Nasha's voice is like one of a kind. But I mean, his background vocalists, they are able to deliver his song so well. In the album, you really, really saw that their vocal abilities and their ability to deliver the message and the passion in these songs. And so just always gonna be one of my go-to albums.
Yeah, my song on there is Could Have Been with Ty Tribbett.
Oh, come on now, that's my jam.
I listen to that to this day almost every Sunday.
That's the jam. But yeah,
I admire Kirk Franklin's fearlessness with sounds. Like Terica was, like you were mentioning, he's not afraid to go and get other people and collaborate and like fuse things together. And because when he first hit the scene, there was people had so many issues. Like how, but I thought it was awesome because like you say, it talked to the younger like the standard old school wasn't like you had to grow and evolve it, you know. And like even though as much as I prefer the old school like choir stuff, but like I really like Kirk Franklin stuff as well because it's got that contemporary edge or whatever. So yeah, I admire him a lot.
Yeah, Kirk meets people where they are, and that's what's missing in a lot of, you know, Christian stuff.
Amen.
But anyways.
Yeah, I think I think with that album too, he really showed that he was still a contender, because around that time you started seeing like so-and-so in Company or this person and that person. You started seeing people like mimic his sound or the or his methods, like with the background singers and like him talking over track. You started to see that, but he really showed with that album that he was still like a contender in gospel and Christian music, and not just even there, like even on the other side as well. So really good album.
I mean, he still comes out with like he's going to have a single that's going to be good. Like he's still able to come out with stuff today that's still like hits. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
All right. So
Keisha, number 2.
Number 2, Writings on the Wall. We've talked about Destiny's Child in our conversation with Beyonce. So I don't want to be redundant.
Hold on. If you haven't watched that episode, I believe it's about 3 episodes ago. Please go check it out on our YouTube page, vlogcast. Go ahead, go on over and watch the Beyonce episode.
Yeah, so Writings on the Wall, that was just, you know, one of my first CDs. That was the new millennium or whatever, well, right before the new millennium. And at that time, it was like, you know, Spice Girls, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, NSYNC, all that, the pop groups were popping. And I feel like Writings on the Wall established Destiny's Child as a contender in the pop sphere.
So yeah, we already deep dive into Writings on the Wall. It was actually on my list as well as an honorable mention.
What's your favorite song?
Oh God, for real?
Oh my goodness, this is so hard for me.
I'm going with Hey Ladies.
Hey Ladies.
Okay.
So Good. I will pick.
Okay.
Oh, I love So Good. I like Too Many.
I mean, Say My Name forever be a classic, but
yeah,
I like this one a lot.
I like. Oh, damn. Okay, so I'm gonna go with Confessions.
Ooh.
I like Confessions.
You gotta put the theme, don't you?
Right.
I did not do that on purpose.
Confessions is a good one, and Temptation is the whole damn album is good.
Yeah, I was gonna say Temptation before I said Confessions, but yeah.
But yeah, okay. So thank you. We won't deep dive. If you want to know what we think about that album, please go watch that particular episode when we talk about the one, the only Beyonce Giselle knows. Carter. All right.
Let's see. Number 2, we're going to flip over to the guy, Jackson. So we're going to be Michael Jackson.
The guy Jackson, who is
Michael Jackson.
Of course.
And I mean, how can I pick my favorite album out of Michael, right? Because they're all so lovely. But I had to choose one. So I'm just going to go with what started it all, Off the Wall, or what started the adult solo all. So I'm going to say Off the Wall. And I love this album. We play it front to back. I think what really speaks to me about, or what I really love about this album is the freedom in the album. Like you can really tell, this was like, I'm young, I finally got creative control, I'm free, I'm liberated creatively, like I'm away from my brothers. Like it's got such a joy and exuberance in the sound that I think is really, really, really cool. And that what I love so much about it, that it matches, like he's like 20, 21, and it just matches that time period, I guess, in your life. Like it just matches, like you're an adult, you're on your own for the first time. Like it's kind of, it's like his coming out party almost. And like what else I really like about it is the what's individualism of it. Quincy Jones, of course, is in my top 3 as well. One of my favorite producer, arranger, composers. And I mean, he did a crazy great job with this album. And not only him, but the engineers, the sound engineers are just as important to all of Michael's albums, but they're just as important in this album as well, because they do Michael was doing a lot of stuff that people weren't doing yet. A lot of those vocal hits and vocal little like screams and things, and achieving a particular like type of energy he wanted and stuff like that. Like those engineers had to figure out how to record his voice and record the music and make it sound a certain way and all this kind of stuff. But anyways, Rod Temperton is one of the big songwriters on this album, which is a little white British guy that wrote Rock With You and wrote Off the Wall, and he wrote another one. He has like 3 big songs on there. Michael has a lot of writing on there, which is like his start to really being able to come into his own. Stevie Wonder's featured on there, one of my favorite songs off the album or whatever. Can't Help It. And it mixes like it's the last great album of the disco era or whatever. Like a lot of people consider that like the ending point of the disco era, but it was also like a precursor, like a lot of his stuff, like showing you where pop and R&B and the pop R&B crossover superstar was going, because I think he was kind of the first in that. And also just like the whole era, the look, the tuxedo was supposed to be like him being older and him not being in the little group anymore. He's not a little boy. So, and the socks and the socks being, all of that stuff was intentional, the glittery shirts and all that stuff. So it's just one of my favorite albums from Michael. It's a great, I wish I could experience what it was like to be at a club during that time with that album, yes, because that album is really a dance. It's like a dance album.
It feels good.
It feels really good. And I just want to say, I did go last year. I went to like a Michael Jackson party here in LA, where they were just playing like everything Michael and Janet and the Jacksons and different remixes, flips, all that stuff. But when I tell you to hear Off the Wall, all the songs off the wall, and like with the loud like speakers, you can feel everything with the lights going and everything. I was just like, I was like, man, this is what it must have felt like during that time, like when that album hit and being out at, discotheques and all that stuff. So yeah, one of my favorites.
So thank you for reading my mind, because it's on my list as well.
It was almost on my list. That was an honorable mention for me. Because as soon as he said Michael, I thought Off the Wall.
Yeah, Off the Wall. First of all, 10 tracks on that album, first of all. And every single one of them have single ability. And I believe at some point were singles. Really good production on there. And to your point about like hearing it in that club setting, there have been times like I have turned that album up to the max to just hear the little things that you miss. Like this is like the beauty of Quincy Jones, where he would take various instruments or various sounds, and like if you don't hear it in a setting where it's like to the max, you will miss the little neat things or the little nuances like that he puts together to make a record sound as amazing as he does. I think pretty much most of the songs on this album have probably been sampled or referenced in other songs. But yeah, it's definitely my go-to Michael song. Album. It is my Michael album for sure.
Keisha?
Rock With You is my jam. That's my favorite. I feel like that's in my top 3 Michael songs for me.
I love that.
Rock With You.
Working Day and Night song too, man.
Yeah, Working Day and Night. I would probably say my favorite. I love Rock With You. It's probably up there. But if I had to choose one, I would probably pick Off the Wall, because I feel like it kind of just encompasses the whole album and the feel. And I want to mention too, I just love Michael's vocals on this album. Like I think it's some of his best, and also it's Quincy. This is the start of their relationship, but it's like Quincy pushing him as a vocalist. Like I thought was really, really interesting on this album. Like he really got pushed as a vocalist, and I know I read they raised the keys and all this stuff. Like it really made him expand what he wasn't used to doing, because everybody expected a Jackson's group kind of sound. And I think this was awesome.
The other part of it is when you talked about this being the right album for the time period that he was in. We talked about this in the Brandy episode about being able to tell the coming of age story with your album.
Yeah.
was doing that. Absolutely. Off the Wall was like this introduction to him as an adult, no longer with the group. And then you get Thriller, which is like, okay, I'm not holding
right. Yeah.
He was swinging at that point. And so this album absolutely told the story of like where he was. You got to, like, because we had heard Michael, of course, with the group, but you got to actually, like you said, hear his vocal ability. And what all he was able to do, and why people saw him as this like amazing vocalist, not just entertainer.
Right.
Oh, that's good. That's some good stuff right there. So it's back to me. Dang, y'all have gotten like two of mine that I like. Yeah. I'm gonna go to. So I'll do one that I'll say this because it's on my list, but I won't go in detail. But of course, Brandy's Full Moon is on my list. For me, now I will confess this. I was late to the party with Full Moon. So I listened. Of course, I knew all the singles that came out. I had watched the the documentary or the docu-series that she had when she was having the baby. Like, I followed all of that time period, but to actually sit with this album, I think I didn't do it until maybe a year or so, maybe 2 years later, like actually fully sit in it and appreciate the album. I didn't really value the album until years later, and like what she had done vocally on this album, and the people that she worked with, and just the creation of the sound. And we talk about this in our last episode, is it last episode or two episodes ago?
2 episodes, yeah.
We did our deep dive about the legacy of Brandy Norwood. So I won't go too far into that, but I did want to mention that it is on there. But for me, my next album actually would be for Nipsey Hussle the Great. Shout out to him. Happy birthday, Crenshaw. We in here, man. So I will go with Victory Lap. And for me, so I have been following Nipsey since about 2011. He made his first like real debut with Hustle in the House back in 2010. He was on Double XL 2010 as well. So there was a lot of buzz around him. A lot of people compared him to Snoop Dogg. He was really big out west and on the west. He was doing some big things. And so if you followed his career, he had some albums before, and they were the marathon, okay? And when you listen to those albums, it really is a marathon. You can see him trying to conjure up or create his sound and what he wanted it to be. He tried different things. He worked with different artists. And then when he finally got to Victory Lap, it felt like the Victory Lap. It felt like an album that you had been working to get to. Whether it was, you could tell the influence, whether the influence was from the No Limit sound or from Rockefeller early day sound. He even has Puff on here. Like, you could hear the inspiration in this album, and it was the perfect first album for someone. He had built up to this point. Sadly, of course, we lost him, and so we're not able to get another album or a sophomore album from him. But this, for me, for him, after a long awaited period of time, 2010 to 2018, this was like the perfect album to release, is your debut album. And so for me, I can ride from beginning to end on this album. When he opens it up, how dramatic it is. When he opens it up with Victory Lap featuring Stacey Barth, when you turn it up, and sonically the way that it sounds, like, this man was very calculated in like the way that it sounded and how he delivered on the song and like what he was saying. Just a really good album from front to end, and hate that his life was cut short so that we can't see what was to come after this album, but definitely will listen to this from front to back and continue to do so. So yeah, that's my album, guys.
All right,
okay. I'll see they like, okay, girl.
No,
I'm over here trying to think of like my favorite song on that album.
I know, right? I was like, well, I haven't really heard. I actually haven't listened to the album, which I don't know why I haven't tried it yet, but I haven't listened to it, so I don't have it.
Hustle and Motivate and Right Hand to God are my two favorite. Hustle and Motivate, for me, for him to take that Annie beat, and a lot of people know this, when Jay-Z purchased the beat originally, he bought the publishing, all of the copyrights, everything to it, so anybody can use it now at this point. So him taking that beat, it was just smart because it was a beat that people were familiar with. And then just what he talks about on that particular song. Nipsey is great at telling a story and telling his story, and he did that. But I think when we talk about, and Michael has said this before, when you study the greats to become greater, with Nip, you could see that, like, he had really studied the rappers or the people that he called influences before him. Like, and you can hear it on this album. He delivers that from like how it sonically sounds to the way that he delivers the songs, even the way the songs come on the album, like how they're how they're ordered. He thinks about all of that, even the delivery around it. And you want to talk about marketing? My guy had been marketing. From the marathon stuff, you got the Crenshaw stuff, you got the Victory Lap stuff. Like they had a whole movement going. And shout out to Karen Civil, because I know she helped with some of those things as well. But it was just a perfect storm for him.
He was definitely well on his way. Like when everything I saw, even though I didn't hear the album, the stuff I saw surrounding it, I was like, yeah, like his trajectory was definitely going up.
Yeah, and remind you, this dropped January or February of 2018, just a few days before my birthday. And so it dropped February. The album rolled the whole year, and then he passed March of 2019. So the album was still kind of buzzing and circulating. Although he didn't have, because a lot of people say, well, he didn't have singles from this album. To me, it will go down as a hood classic album. It's just one of those albums that you'll always reference. I mean, I think people will appreciate it more later on down the line for what he put together. So that's that album. So we're back at Keisha.
Yeah. Okay, so since you went with Nipsey, around that time, whenever I first discovered him, was Feeling Myself with Lloyd. And around that time, I was stuck on Drake. So, I had to do a Drake album.
Here we go.
My favorite is Take Care. And I feel like it's a good representation of what the rap game looked like at that time because of all the features. You got Wayne, you got Kendrick. I feel like you got Ross on the song. It's just a lot of great shit, and I love it. And I feel like it's the same way I feel about Usher's Confessions. I feel like that is Drake's best work, and he's plateaued. You hear the same fucking sound, even though I love him. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like he just does the same thing over and over because it works for him and everybody just gobbles it up. Like his new video he just dropped, like it's just nothing special anymore.
I think sorry, you can go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I do think Keisha, like you said, that did encompass that time for sure. Like Take Care of I do agree with that. But that was like, I know this was like, it was heavily, if I remember, it was heavily anticipated, right? This album was, or whatever.
Because it was his second album.
Right, okay.
It was the second album, but the mixtape was kind of an album, so kind of third, whatever. But yeah, so I think it was everybody wanted to see what he was going to do, see if it was going to do better than the first one.
And I think this kind of, like, he was already kind of cemented, especially with that mixtape. Well, he wasn't cemented with the mixtape. He was just, everybody was looking at him. But I think Take Care did cement him in his place. Mm-hmm. I think whatever was this album did that for him for sure.
Yeah,
right.
I like this album a lot. I've listened and sat with it a lot. Lord knows it's probably one of my favorite tracks off of there featuring Rick Ross. Like, it's a really good album, and especially for a sophomore album, like, he was able to deliver at the bar that people thought that he was going to deliver. And so, I mean, even like you said, his wordplay on this album, his flow, his cadence, like all of that was like really, really good. Unfortunately, it wouldn't have been in my top. I think that first one, you couldn't have asked for a better debut album. Thank Me Later. Like, that album was so good.
Yeah, I was like, how the hell you get Jay-Z on your debut album? Who does that?
Him.
I mean, he was hot.
Yeah,
he was hot. Like, yeah.
I've been thinking about the anticipation around Thank Me Later. Like that was all great marketing as well. Like the way that they built up to it with those what do you call them, the mixtapes, and then like all the buzz that was around him, and with Cash Money or Young Money. Then you had him and Nicki kind of like coming out at that same time with these albums.
Yeah. It was a moment.
It was a moment. Like,
it was a moment.
I can remember I don't know if y'all remember when Thank Me Later dropped, they constantly played that album in the club. Like it was they played it as if it was like a playlist.
Yeah.
I was like, we ain't gonna listen to nothing else.
I mean, they struck gold with Drake, because I'm not gonna lie, when he came out as a legitimate rapper, I was shocked, because I used to watch Degrassi.
Me too.
And like when his character got older and he started like rapping and stuff on the show, I was like, oh great, another actor who's trying to like do like rapping and singing. And it was so corny to me, and I was like, and then I was like, oh, he's legitimately good. I was like, wow. I was like really shocked. But yeah.
Same.
But I'll give you that, Keisha. It was for a second album, he kept the momentum up with that second album. I think by that time, anybody that he wanted to work with on that second album probably were jumping at the opportunity, because he was the hottest thing to be with. Like if he was on your track, he sung your hook, whatever, you were gonna be on Billboard.
He got the Midas touch.
Yeah, he absolutely did. So I don't blame you for picking that one.
I had to get a hip hop one in there, because I was like, look at all this R&B. I listened to more than just R&B, so I had to throw that one in there.
Yeah, but that first one, goodness, he came out swinging, and he kind of changed the landscape of hip hop for a little bit with that first album too. People were afraid when he dropped. I mean, you could tell, because like even their flows and the way they were rapping was changing. But we'll keep it moving. Rashad?
Well, since we're on hip hop, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite albums, 808s and Heartbreaks by Kanye West.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a constant struggle for me between that one and Late Registration. That's my favorite Kanye record, but one of my favorite albums is overall it's 808s and Heartbreaks. Again, it's a conceptual album, which I love. It has a whole theme to it. It's very thematic. It's dark. It's the rapping and singing. Even though I don't credit Kanye as the start to that, I do feel like more people started after this album. But we do have Nelly, Ja Rule that was doing their thing, and then we have Andre 3000, which I couldn't choose between this one or the 808s and Heartbreaks or the Love Below with Andre 3000, because the Love Below is another one of my favorite albums. And it's definitely a precursor to the rapper who sings and all that stuff too, and raps or mixes it. But I think Kanye's is like the opposite side of the Love Below's coin. Love Below is a little bit lighter. It's got a lot of jazzy stuff. It's a whole story as well. But Kanye's is like flipped around and it's darker and it's more electronic and a lot more like edgy and things like that. So sorry, let me look at my notes. My notes. So anyways, but I definitely think this album was a game changer. At that time, a lot of casual music listeners and a lot of his fans didn't realize what it was, because a lot of people downed it when it first came out. I remember a lot of people weren't into it. They was like, oh, he's singing blah blah, but critically it was well regarded or whatever. But when it first hit, I was like super into it, and like
me too.
I couldn't really find a lot of people that was like into it like I was, but like I was super into it. But I love the themes. I love it so much because of the themes that's in it, like of loss and alienation and like his fame, him becoming bigger, and heartache. And it's electronic, but like hip hop at the same time. But also look at it as kind of the beginning to the end of Kanye, in a sense, like a beginning.
Very much so.
Yeah, it's like the beginning of the end of like the Kanye we knew or once knew, or whatever people say.
The one that we loved. It was the
right. The one that was universally loved, I guess. Yeah. So this is like the beginning of the end, and I don't know why that's interesting to me, but it's
you're saying that's not me, okay? Thank you.
Like, I'm not saying he didn't come out with no more good stuff, but I'm talking about like he ended that stretch of the college albums. This was almost like a transitional album. That's why it's so interesting to me, because it transitioned him into a whole different type of Kanye. Yeah. And this album grew his conceptual artistry, because those first 3 albums were all kind of thematic and conceptual as well. But I feel like this just kind of grew it, and this made Kanye, to me, this is the album that made Kanye the rapper. He just didn't have rapper. He was an artist or whatever. Like, this is what kind of that's what it became to me. I was like, okay, like, this is him. This is artistry, and this is like, he's an artist. He's so far beyond just being a rapper and producer now or whatever. And also, I love that the way he used the tech, because, you know, everything's like distorted, the auto-tune, all that stuff. The way he used the tech, he didn't use it just like how people kind of just aimlessly use it on their stuff. Like, he used it as a tool to get the emotions across, the way he was, because he's not a singer or whatever, but he used those things in a ways that was able to get him to be able to perform the tracks the way he wanted to perform. So I just think it's a great it's great creativity. It's a great use of his creativity, but then also, like, musically, it's just really, really, really good. But yeah.
What's your favorite song on it?
My favorite song from 808s, I would say, hold on, I gotta look at track listing.
That's how I am. I'm like in between Streetlights and Heartless.
Streetlights is one of my favorites.
Yes.
It speaks to me. Oh, it speaks to me.
Me too. When Daniel Caesar like redid that, I was like, I see what you did. I love that.
Yeah, I used to listen to that song all the time in college. You know,
Why you look at that?
When I was like ready to get out, I was like, oh.
Me too.
Why you look at that? Because Heartless is probably my favorite off that album. But this album, first of all, Kanye was ahead of the curve with it. And then, if I am correct, I want to be sure of something. I'm gonna look this up. Let me move my notes. Because if I'm correct, let me see something.
Okay, I'm gonna say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
It's gonna be between Paranoid, Streetlights, and Coldest Winter. But I think I'm gonna go with Coldest Winter.
Nice.
So,
I like Paranoid too.
So for me, Kanye, of course, was ahead of the curve with this particular album. This was 2008. But when I think of this album, what also falls in that same like box for me in being ahead of the curve is Last Train to Paris. Like those 2 albums fall in the same box for me. Like just some of the risks that they were willing to take with the albums remind me a lot of each other for whatever reason. Like a lot of people didn't appreciate the album, either one of those albums when they first. But later they became go-to albums for a lot of people, and people reference them even now.
Oh yeah, retrospectively, those are 2 albums that everybody kind of looks back on and like, oh, this was really like, or oh, because you have to look back, because sometimes you don't see that this was the future, so you kind of like go back and like, oh, okay, I see, you know, but. For sure. And I think like even his tour he did, the Glow in the Dark tour.
I was just about to bring that up. I feel like this is the album that made him a superstar. He had Yeezys with Nike. Like, shit was going great until the VMAs the next year.
You know what? My bad. This wasn't... Glow in the Dark tour was the other album. But he had a big tour with this one too, I think.
The next album.
Even the aesthetics of like his videos and for this album, and you know, the everything he was doing, I just thought was really cool. And I know it was like, I guess this Kanye was like in pain or whatever, I guess, but I don't know. I just think it was it's an awesome job. And I don't know. I don't know if he's, I don't know what we'll get from him next, but you know.
And I think we already knew that he was an amazing producer. But to see him really work on this album just solidified his production skills. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
This guy is really genius. When you think about it, like he really does have potential.
Yeah.
This album showed that. So I'm gonna go here. This will be my next one. It'll probably be my last one actually, because I think I'm at 5 because you guys have named some that I've like jumped on. But for me, it's gonna go to Sierra's first album, Goodies.
Yes.
I'm going with that one. Now, this was hard for me because I wanted to put the Evolution.
I must say Evolution, I think, is the better one. But yeah.
I know. That was a struggle. Because the Evolution is so good, and it tells the coming of age story of her. I feel like it felt comfortable for her, like that. But I'm gonna go with Goodies because I feel like, again, it was one of those. I feel like this was one of those albums, like perfect storm. Like the stars aligned for this album. I think Jazzy Faye, Sean Garrett, coming together and creating her sound, and putting this camp of people around her to deliver this first album just made sense. Her introducing her as the Princess of Crunk and B, during that era, taking that same. First of all, the fact that Lil Jon didn't even realize he had gave 3 people the same sound, and then it hitting the charts like the same way, like the same reaction, same beat. The
thing is, we didn't even really, I didn't realize it was the same beat until somebody told me, and I was like, dang, you're right.
Mm-hmm. It's just fast. One is faster, one is slowed down, one is mid-tempo. Like it's crazy. Mm-hmm. I think, again, she had some of the greatest like producers on this album. We talked about Jazzy Faye. We talk about Dre and Vidal. They're on here. Lil Jon, she has R. Kelly on here. Bangladesh. Adonis is writing on here. I mean, it's just a really well put together first album for a young, I guess you want to say teen bop, because this is what she was, like a teenager turning into a woman. Really good album. Some of the songs, like there's some hidden gems on here. Like I love the sample that she has, the LTD Love Ballad sample she has on here. The title, I really like that song. I would say my favorite song on here though, if it's not that one, it'd probably be the Next to You featuring R. Kelly that she has on here. Hey, Don't Come For Me, anybody? I'm just saying, I really like the song. And then I think on here, for me, she was filling that void that we were having, because remember when we talked, and Rashad, we've talked about this before, you got your Janet that has that, she's got that soft voice, great entertainer, and then after her, you had Britney kind of fill that void or that space, and then Sierra was kind of coming in and ushering it in that wave as well. Like great entertainers, but they don't have the strongest voices. And I just, the album is just really.
I know.
Go ahead.
Side note, yes, Janet does have a light voice, but we do have to, and this could be a whole other conversation on another episode, but like Janet's vocals are very underrated, and I just think because we're so conditioned to think loud and all kind of runs are good, it's like that doesn't necessarily mean people with soft voices, like people don't really understand the depth of what she does and what she can do. But anyways, back to Terry.
Yeah, but I mean the same could be said about Sierra. I think people don't give her vocal ability, like they don't even give her a chance when it comes to vocals. I mean, we've seen her. I remember when Michael Jackson passed and she did that like tribute to him. She sounded really, really good. Like she has a really good voice, but people don't even give her a chance because about her ability to dance and entertain. But she is a really good artist. To me, those first 2 albums were amazing and well thought out, well planned. We could go depth there, but I feel like she's going to be coming up on one of our deep dives.
Right.
Yeah.
I think my favorite, what I would pick off that album is Hotline.
Ooh. I was going to say that. Hotline and I. Those are my jams.
I love Hotline. But I think what a great album. I mean, what a great debut album to come out with, smash singles out there. Like all 3 singles. Yeah, it was like 3 singles, right? 3 or 4 singles. All of them did well. All of them were good. Like Terica said, she filled a lane that was kind of empty. And like I want to kind of dig into her one day too. But like she's one that I feel like it's like I so wish I could just like, I feel like I have a great plan for Sierra, but I just think like Sierra just needs like, I don't know what's going on with her music stuff now, but I feel like we haven't tapped into what we can really do with Sierra, but I feel like it's gonna be too late, like in a minute. But
yeah, me and Terica have actually discussed that. Like we haven't seen her greatest potential yet.
Yeah.
Like we'll hear a few singles, it'll be hot, she'll drop an album, but then like she'll be gone for some years, and it's like, okay, what happened? What's going on?
Yeah. And like it was the natural progression of Goodies, and the evolution, and like then it just dropped. Like she just, I don't know what happened with that third. It just went left, and it was like they was never able to get it fully back where she was going. But
right,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel you on that.
Yeah,
I feel like she gave me the Aaliyah vibes that I was missing, and then to see her like collab with Missy and all that, that was nice. I love that. But yeah, And I was my favorite song on there, and she had Carmelo in the video, so I was like, this is a hit.
Yeah, no, I think she again filled that void that we have been missing, and then the girl came out dancing in a way we hadn't seen artists dance in a long time. So that just like that was the first thing that like caught your eye. And then you're like, okay, she can dance. Okay. Then she got the album was just, it was well put together. And I think about like often, I was like, could they have given this album to any of the other female artists that were out during that time? When we think about that, you got Christina Milian, you have Nivea, you have a few girl groups. Like, could they have given this album to anybody else and it been delivered the same way? And for me, no. For me, I feel like she just had something special at that time. And I don't think anybody else could have delivered it the way that she did.
Like, I could definitely hear those songs on them, but they wouldn't have been done the way, like you said, they wouldn't have been done the way Sierra did. So, yeah.
Right.
All right. So, and around we go.
I think we have two left, right, Keisha?
Two left?
Yeah. I'm gonna just say both of mine.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with another hip hop, Coloring Book, just because Coloring Book is Chance the Rapper.
I like that.
Because of the Grammy and him being independent and all that literally changed the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, changed the game entirely. For you to be independent and not have your music like be sold and still get a Grammy, that is epic. So there's
but
that.
Did you like the album?
Yeah, I like the album.
But
I'm saying like for it to get that notoriety and stuff, like it had to have been good to a certain extent. Yeah, of course, I like the album.
It was a good album.
I feel like it was a lot different than what he did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
it was definitely a switch up.
Yeah, it was. I felt it was a lot of like gospel sounds with this one. Mm-hmm. And I was like, he did a 180, but I mean, I'm here for it. I like it.
That's what I thought was so unique about the album, the way he fused the gospel with what he was doing. I was like, okay, this is cool.
Right. So yeah, I was super proud of him on that. And then my last one was going to be Emancipation of Mimi, just because I feel like that's the greatest comeback of all time. Period.
That is a great comeback album.
Shout out to B. Cox. Shout out to Jermaine Dupri. Shout out to Deontay Austin.
Yeah.
7. They
love that song.
They did that.
I love the album.
They are like the comeback kings. Like they survive your career if you let them.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song what's the song you would pick off of Emancipation?
Ooh. I'm gonna say the Shake It Off remix. That's my shit. I know it ain't even on there.
Right, it's not on there.
But the Shake It Off remix with Jeezy, I love me some Jeezy. And to see Mariah Carey with Jeezy, I was like, I never would have put them two together, but I fuck with it.
And we're gonna deep dive into Mariah at some point too on our legacy episode. But people don't give Mariah the credit they should as a writer.
Not as a songwriter at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost like her brain works like a rapper. Like the way that she puts words together, like her flow, like people don't give her that credit. And on that album, you could see some of her strength as a writer with that album.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say my favorite song off of there is Mine Again.
I love that song.
I love that. I love the writing of that song. I love in the melody. The melodies and the writing is what I love the most about it. But and Fly Like a Bird is like a close second. But I love Mine Again. But that whole album is really, really, really good. And what a comeback! Yeah. I feel like that's like there's another Mariah Carey album after that I do think is pretty solid. But I do feel like that was kind of the last like great full Mariah Carey like album. But yeah, so far, because she can still do it again. But yeah,
She's the queen. All right. So Rashad, you got your last two, and then I got one more as an honorable mention.
Okay. Let's see. What do I want to do? Because I got some honorable mentions, but we'll just have to talk about some of these in the future. But
right, we can talk all day.
You know what? We might have to do like every so often. We'll do one of these type kind of like here's another 5 of our favorite albums or something. but let's see. I'm gonna because we have not touched on anyone that's not Black yet. So
dang.
Right.
People in my list, but dang, okay, go ahead.
Right. No. I'm just saying. But they might as well be in. No, I was playing. But that's a whole other combo too. But yeah, that's a whole other combo we have to talk about. But
I know what you're gonna say because it's on my list too. I know what you're gonna say.
No. I'm gonna pick a different one, but I know what you're probably gonna say. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with this guy.
Is it what I think it is?
I'm gonna say Justin Timberlake.
Yes.
Right? But I'm not saying Justified. I know that's what you're gonna pick, ain't it, Terry?
Are you gonna pick 2020?
No, I'm gonna pick. I'm pitching Future Sex.
Okay.
Love that.
All right.
Because it was hard for me to pick between Justified and Future Sex because those two, I love both of those albums. But
yes.
I went with Future Sex because I feel like that's what solidified Justin as him as an artist or whatever. Because I'm not gonna talk on Justified because we'll touch on that when Terry talks about it. But with Future Sex Love Sounds, yeah, I love the conceptualness of it, and I look at it as, I don't know if I read this somewhere or if I just made this up in my mind, but I'm just going to say I look at this as a double album that was made as one album. And I say that because if you look at the way that they made Future Sex Love Sounds with that split in the middle, Future Sex Split Love Sounds, or whatever, like if you listen to the album, it really is two different albums in the same concept. So like Future Sex is that electronic, jittery, like funky sounds, which is reminiscent of kind of like Prince and stuff like that. So that's like Sexy Back and all those. And then you got the Love Sounds, which is more of the laid back stuff or whatever. That's kind of a little bit more reminiscent of your Michael and Stevie and all that stuff, but still with that millennium edge to it or whatever. And what else was I gonna say about this album? Okay, so Timbaland and Danger are the main producers on it, and I think they did an awesome job. I think will.i.am and a couple of other people make appearances to do stuff, but those are the guys that kind of crafted the whole thing. I feel like it evolved his sound, but they evolved. They kind of built on Justified, but they took it left and evolved his whole sound. I love the aesthetics of this album for him with the suits. That's when he started doing the whole suits, and in a way, it's almost kind of reminiscent of the Michael thing. Like, it's kind of like, I feel like they was like, okay, he's more mature now. He's more, so they did the whole suits, but they still kept it young with the tennis shoes. And that Future Sex Love Tour is amazing. And then, just a lot of great songs, a great album altogether. I can listen to it front to back. And
I would say, because when you think about Mike, I absolutely feel like that they were inspired by that, because Justified does feel like off the wall.
Yeah, it does.
Future does sound like Thriller. It's like, okay, I know who I am. I know my sound. Like I know my story. It does feel that way. So they had to be inspired by that.
Yeah, and I would say Future Sex Love sounds a little more Princey, but I definitely see the MJ inspiration is all throughout it for sure. But it was definitely more like funky and electronic, and I don't know, they did a lot of cool, like they had like a lot of trance and dubstep and stuff. Like they incorporated a lot of cool elements to what they were doing, and I feel like it pushed Timbaland. I feel like it pushed Timbaland as a producer as well, or whatever. I feel like it pushed, because when that came out, that's when everybody started knocking, like all the different, like he was already kind of working with different people, but I feel like it opened him up to like a lot more artists wanting to collaborate with him in different genres and stuff like that. But
I also feel like, for Timbaland, we knew his style, we knew his sound from the 90s. Like you knew Timbaland track, but I feel like this album allowed him to challenge himself as a producer. Like it wasn't it was almost sometimes you didn't recognize that it was a Timbaland beat. He was willing to challenge himself a little bit more during this era to sound a little bit differently. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. I love this album too. Justified, we're not going to talk about Justified, and the reason why we're not going to, because he's on the list as well to deep dive. So
okay, we'll wait on that one. Sorry. So we'll wait. I'm not going to say any more about Future Sex then if we're going to do a deep dive. But yeah, because I have a lot to say about Justin and his albums. But yeah,
I love Justin. JT is my fave. Mm-hmm. He puts on like the best shows live.
Oh, sorry. And my next one, I'm going to say, I'm throwing a curveball in this one, I guess.
Okay.
Nah, I'll wait. But Back to Basics by Christina Aguilera.
You picked that.
I was just gonna say, I don't even think I know which one that is. What single was on that one?
That's one of my favorite albums. That's Ain't No Other Man is on that one. Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite albums. That I can listen to front to back or whatever.
I was thinking you were gonna say Stripped.
Nah, like Stripped is good. But I feel like this Stripped is Christine. I feel like Strip was Christina being like, this is me, blah, blah, blah. But Back to Basics is where I feel like she crafted what she wanted. She's like the executive producer on that album or whatever. So I feel like this is the album that she had been wanting to do or whatever. Yeah. So I love it so much because it's conceptual as well. And it mixes like it's like 1940s, 1950s, like jazz, soul, pop, and like the old school Hollywood glamour and stuff. Like they mix it all with contemporary elements, which I thought was really, really cool. And she's always throughout her career always pays homage to all the people that she's inspired by, all the legendary jazz singers like Ella and them, and the R&B singers and Whitney and all them. But I thought it was really cool. They really fused those old like sounds with new sounds really well. And like the first half of the album is more so R&B leaning, and then the second half, because it's a double disc, and the second part is it's a little bit more ballady, but it's they mix in like these folky type kind of things and like old doo-wop and 50s stuff that's really cool. So I just think it's, for me, I guess I love that album just for the sound of it alone or whatever. I think is really awesome. But yeah,
it highlighted her voice.
Great vocals. Yeah.
I was gonna say that it highlighted her vocals really well, like very jazzy, very I think it just highlighted her voice very well because we know that she can belt, she can sing, but a lot of the songs complimented her voice. So I did like it for that reason, but it wasn't like on my list. Strip was definitely on my list.
Yeah.
I've never listened to either of those albums. I love me some Christina Aguilera, but I'll do that today.
I like the first album. The first album, of course, is a gem. Like,
I have that one. I was a child. Yeah. I wasn't like paying attention,
Yeah.
You want to talk about some WAP? That first album,
right?
The first thing. She just did
Genie in a bottle, man.
You talking about WAP is dirty,
right?
Yeah.
Yo, when she came out and flipped and everybody was.
She came out twerking and had Redman on the track. I was like, who is this bitch?
Right.
Yo, I can't wait to dig into her because that was a whole moment during that time. I remember everybody was going nuts about that. But
yeah.
So, I'm sure we have like. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, but I'm gonna throw one last one in there.
Let's all throw one honorable mention. Let's all throw just one in there.
This is not my honorable mention. This was my fifth one, I think.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, because we took two of hers.
Yeah.
I thought she did two of them at once. No?
Oh, she did do two at once, but I don't know.
This will be my fifth one because y'all had two, and then I threw in two, so this will be my fifth one.
Okay.
Yeah. So my last one is Chris Brown's first album. Again, another he has some songs written on there by John St. Austin. I mean, again, you couldn't ask for another first release or a better first release with this album. I think every song on this album could have been a single. Just a well put together album for a teen sensation. I just love the subject. him being this young guy in love, finding his way, like that coming of age, telling his own story type of thing. I still listen to that album. Sometimes I feel very childish listening to it. But to me, it was just a really good album. I won't spend much time there either because I'm sure we'll get to Chris Brown. I'm not going to say it, Keisha. I'm doing very good today.
I'm so proud of you. So proud of you.
I thought you would have. If he was gonna be on your list, I thought you would have picked a different album.
The second,
right? Like not the first one when he's a freaking kid.
But the first
the lisp.
But I gotta also think about like that first one. Like the songs on the album were well written. Like if you could have given those songs to a more mature artist as well, and they still would have translated very well. Like they don't seem kiddie. Like they don't seem kiddie. I think you could have taken them. You could have very well given them to like a Tyrese in his prime, like his younger year, or to now the singing style. I'm not saying singing style. I'm not comparing. But what I'm saying is you could have given it to a more mature singer, and they would have possibly translated. But then also they're not too overly grown to the point that he can't sing them. So I like the first album. I mean, don't get me wrong, he got some other good albums that I can sit with, but I just, for the time period and remembering like how nostalgic that album was for me, and what was going on, that's why it'll be on my list.
No, like all those singles were good off of that. I liked all the singles on that album.
Did you ask me what my favorite song was on there?
Yeah, what's your favorite song on there?
I do like Just Fine. That's probably, and then Poppin', of course, was.
Poppin' was my favorite.
That was definitely a album gem that like it wasn't a single, but like everybody knew it.
Everybody loved that
been a
song.
Single. Yeah.
People all lying on the floor at the school dance.
Yeah, school dances. I think mine was "Give Me That." I really love that song. I thought
that
it was
a
really
good one.
Yeah.
You got Sean Garrett on that one too, and like he had like all the perfect people on that album to like help him as a debut single. And I think I said Jonte, but Jonte was actually on the second album. But I'm saying like you had the perfect group of people to help him with a debut album. It was just amazing. All right, so y'all can do an honorable mention. I want to keep some of mine for our next episode.
I mean, Keisha, do you have one? If not, then
I don't have one. Y'all said 5, so I stuck with 5. I made myself do that because it was hard.
So we'll stay here this time. Okay. So on future episodes, guys, we have some deep dives that we're gonna do of your favorite artists. We also have a legacy episode that'll be coming your way in a few weeks. And so,
Terica, can you explain to the viewers what you mean by the legacy episode?
All right. When we talk about legacy, what we're talking about is we're talking about their overall like impact as an artist, and just for me, I often say that these artists are the best investments that a label or manager could have ever made. And so often when I think about those people, I'm talking about their contributions to their genre, the albums that they've released, their ability to come back over and over again and reinvent themselves. So that's what I mean when we talk about legacy.
Great.
All right, well, Keisha, you want to take us out?
Thanks for joining us, y'all. Tell us your top 5 in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
See you next week.
Bye, y'all.